By Saturday, 18th of June, all eyes will be on Ekiti State when people of the southwest state will be electing a new governor. To ensure a credible conduct, the Independent National Electoral Commission INEC has deployed 8 resident electoral commissioners and 4 national commissioners for the poll. INEC Chairman Professor Mahmood Yakubu warned against violence before, during and after the exercise, and he has assured the people that their votes will count. As of now, a total of more than 749,000 voters, representing 76%, have collected their permanent voter cards, PVC. Bikeo, from the feelings you're getting from Ekiti State, is INEC ready for this exercise on Saturday?
INEC, it's equal for me to know that they are ready. The clearest sign you will see on election day, when ballot materials don't get to certain polling stations on time, you then ask, what have these guys been doing? Right now, there is no sign that they are not ready, and there is no sign, too, that they are fully ready. I want to wait until election day. I want to see the swiftness with which ballot materials are deployed, the swiftness with which they respond even to cases of late delivery of ballot materials, and even INEC equipment not working. You expect that when that happens, they have to move fast to troubleshoot and solve the problem. On election day, we will see whether INEC is ready or not, because it's one thing to tell us that you are fully ready, you have everything in place. On election day, that is the true test of your readiness. So I've seen in the past when INEC told us, look, there's no problem, we have worked with transporters, we have agreement in place for them to deliver ballot materials for us. The agreement is fine, we don't have any issue. Only for you to hear that those guys have not been paid, and some of them will want to hold us to ransom on election day. So I think that it takes a lot more than deploying many high-ranking INEC officials to have a well-organized election. INEC has its own rule book. Sometimes they go against their own rule book. Some of what they promised to do now, deploying multiple recs and all, they did it in
Anambra.
They did it in Kogi and Bayelsa during the off-season elections in those 2 states. In spite of that, there was a lot of vote rigging, a lot of violence on election day. And what the law says is where there is violence, results should not be returned from those places. But we still saw results being returned from places where ballot boxes were snatched. So INEC, sometimes even its own staff, refused to follow its rules to the letter. And that's why we have all kinds of problems on election day. But let's hope that this election will be an improvement over the Anambra election in every way. We want to see constant improvement on the part of INEC. That's what will make Nigerians to have greater faith in the process.
Okay. Olabisi, now the Ekiti State governorship election and the Osun State governorship election coming up in July will be a test run for the 2023 elections. What do you think INEC needs to do to get it right?
Well, if you ask INEC, INEC will tell you that it's more difficult to run off elections than the real elections, the general elections. They will tell you that all politicians usually concentrate when it is an off-season election, like the Ekiti and the Osun State election. So if you look at it from that perspective, you may not really be able to say what INEC can learn or not from these 2 off-season elections. But however, I think INEC is already talking about vote buying, and the INEC chairman has made that a real issue, especially in Ekiti election. And according to him, the ballot boxes have been reconfigured to fight vote buying. But I ask myself, of what use is a reconfiguration of a ballot box to vote buying? How will that one prevent vote buying? Yeah, the chairman also said that this time around the ICPC and EFCC will be on ground to check both vote buyers and vote sellers. So personally, I'm eager to see how INEC is going to navigate that area that has been identified as a major problem. Because if you listen to General Abdul Salam also, he also mentioned something about the expectation of Nigerians, the fact that the expectation of Nigerians in the coming elections might not be fulfilled because of the level at which money is now involved in electioneering and voting and all of that. But anyway, I will expect INEC actually to deal with the obvious problems. Of course, INEC is not the prosecutor. Okay. But at least this time around, we don't want to hear stories of people buying votes and going scot-free. If it is true that some people are planning to buy, both the sellers and the buyers, we want to see situations, if it actually happens, we want to see situations where they are arrested and prosecuted. At least, of course, INEC is not the prosecutor. I said that earlier. They will only hand over to the police, and it is the police that prosecutes, and INEC will just tell you. But let us see what INEC is going to do in form of arrest. Then we move forward from that point.
Yeah. All right, BKO, putting a voter inducement issue as a major challenge to INEC and putting it side by side with the level of electoral officers being deployed to Ekiti State, do you think INEC will be able to tame this, or rather reduce the exploration of this on Saturday?
No. The problem is so widespread now that it has completely defied efforts to put an end to it. How many INEC officials are going to be involved in this election? The ad hoc workers and INEC's full-time workers who are polling officers and supervisors, they will be busy at their respective polling centers, screening voters and generally ensuring that things go according to plan, ensuring that the equipment deployed work. They are not going to be able to ensure that on the queue, because the politicians and their agents go to give people money on the queue, pass the money to people on the queue. They even use security agents to give money to voters. So who is going to arrest the policeman who is giving money to voters? Who is going to do that? I talked about a video that I saw of an election, I think in Bauchi, where it was even the policeman that was giving the money to the voters. Once you step forward, you are going to your cubicle to vote, he gives you your cash. You step away, the next person comes, that policeman gives. So who will arrest the policeman? It's just like soldiers. When you see soldiers riding bicycle against traffic, who will arrest the soldier? Because they know that, okay, as people in uniform, that they are not likely to be punished. So they simply commit these crimes and they get away with it. It has become, going on, even the inducement does not start on election day. In Kwara, 7 p.m. the day before the election, there was an off-season parliamentary election to replace a female federal lawmaker in Kwara. 7 p.m. because that election, both the APC and the PDP took it as if it was war. It was the last election before the Otoge revolution. So they knew that winning that election would send a signal. It was an election meant to make a statement. So the two parties spent billions just on
constituency.
Just the federal constituency. 7 p.m. a day before the election, they were already going from house to house distributing money. So you ask yourself sometimes, oh, why would you give money to people that you are not sure will eventually vote for you? But as we saw in Osun 4 years ago, people will be given money and then be made to swear on oath. They will put a den gun. They will tell you to jump over the den gun. They will bring water that they put some concoction in it and tell you to drink. All so as to be sure that after taking their money, you will eventually vote for them. In fact, there were some boys who told a friend of mine that, look, what they simply did was not to vote for the opponent. So they decided to waste the vote. Because voting for the opponent may put them in trouble after swearing. So if this thing is now the biggest threat to our elections. Forget, INEC is improving in other areas, but I don't see how we can quickly put an end to this idea of giving people money. But even the INEC, the Yaga report indicates that just during this campaign season, they are giving people money already. Yeah. They are giving clothes to people already. So what will they do on election day? Because Yaga complained and listed the local governments where this thing was prevalent, giving money to people. You are not even sure they will vote for you, but they are already
giving out money,
routinely bribing them so that on election day, their conscience will lead them to go and vote for the party that had been spending money on them. So this is the thing. The Bofunwako Sebe that was started in Ondo has now snowballed into something extremely worrying. And when the candidates imagine that, look, he has bought the conscience of people, even his own, he will be limited in terms of his eagerness to work for those people, because he will think that, look, he bought his place. If you don't have billions now to even win a Senate ticket, it will be a problem. The whole monetization of our election is getting worse, and something drastic has to be done. We need to see people being jailed. As BC said, we need to see them. Maybe that will restrain people. It may not stop it, but at least it will restrain some people. Any opportunity for Nigerians to make little money, they will take some stopping. You have to kill some people to not go there. Because these are difficult times. People can't buy food, they can't feed their families, and you want to tell them that on election day, if they are giving money, they should reject it. No, they will not reject. An overwhelming majority will receive the money. Because they are broke. They've lost hope. They can't feed 3 times a day. Even if they feed, they can't feed with their belly full 3 times a day. So any extra money that comes income is something that they jubilate over. Some in the north, they even share bales of cotton to women to vote for them on election day. These 6 years of Ankara, they will tell them to line up. They will film themselves sharing it. I mean, they are not even afraid.
See these videos.
That's all now.
Oh.
Now,
obviously,
well.
It's so
Amen.
Sad. It's so sad.
Well, obviously, INEC chairman has warned against violence.
Yeah.
Saturday is here in our faces. How best do you think INEC and the security agencies need to handle this?
Well, I'm sure a lot of, I can't get the number right now, but I'm sure a lot of security officials have been deployed in Ekiti.
About 17,000.
17,000, okay. So 17,000, I think, is good number enough for a state election. But
a small state.
A small state, yeah. I don't even think we can have that luxury during the general elections to deploy such a number to each state. But you see, the thugs are still there doing their thing. Because even in the past, if you want to go by what happened in the past, in spite of the large number of security officials deployed in these states, we still saw cases of ballot snatching, we saw cases of violence, we saw cases of people trying to kill themselves, invoke violence so that they will be able to rig. But since it is in the law that once there is violence, election in such places should be cancelled. But do you know that these politicians, where they are weak, they also deliberately start violence so that election can be cancelled, so that there will be a rerun, and during the rerun, they will still do the violence. And, they will just threaten people, prevent them from coming out to vote so that they can have their way. It's such a terrible thing, the way we practice our own democracy in these parts of the world. But you see, for INEC, I think INEC is so much burdened with a lot of things.
A lot of responsibilities.
Yes, a lot of responsibilities. You cannot burden INEC with the responsibility of conducting a free and fair election, and we still burden them with the responsibility of ensuring a violence-free election. That should be the responsibility of the security agencies.
All right, thank you, Labisi. We have a caller, Ernest from Enugu. How are you doing, Ernest? Please make your contribution.
Good evening, Babajide and co. I'm doing well. Thank you for your good work you are doing for Nigeria. So this your program is one of the best here in your programs. Yeah, based on your topic for this particular moment about the money inducement in our election, I don't think the Nigerian government or the security forces are getting it right, even the FCC, because it seems that there are laws in Nigeria. One is meant for the poor, and the other one is meant for the rich. Because you can't tell me that EFCC is not seeing or watching what is going on in Nigeria, particularly from all these big shots in our politicians. Most of them are sharing money openly, and EFCC is not doing it. It seems that this EFCC is only now after Yahoo boys. Why can't they trace all these big politicians so that there can be sanity in our electoral system? Because we can't continue this way. Visit other countries, then you see that what Nigeria is doing, just you understand. I just pray that things will improve in this land. I'm highly disappointed in this APC government because they came with threats.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much, Ernest. Thank you for that contribution. Abikeo, more than 17,000 police officers only, apart from other sister security agencies. Now, this is higher than the number we had in 2018. Do you think this is the best approach? And do you think this high number of police officers would do a lot for this election?
If they deploy them appropriately, if potential flashpoints are identified and you send them to those places, you see, it is against the law for the security agencies and operatives to move too close to the polling centers, and thugs exploit this. Security agents are not supposed to move even within 100 meters of a polling center because they are not supposed to intimidate the voter and all that. But you find thugs, especially when it's obvious that a particular candidate is losing, they will now attack voters on the queue and snatch ballot boxes. So how are people able to snatch ballot boxes despite the huge number of security operatives that we deploy for elections. Look at Edo. We sent so many of them to Edo the last time. It looked like we were preparing for a war. And they even rolled tanks onto the streets, just a kind of try us if you can. But at the end of the day, you still find cases of people snatching ballot boxes, cases of, what's it called, vote buying, that they ought to arrest people for. So when I hear this huge number of policemen being deployed, these days it doesn't bother me because you still see violence on election day. What is the problem? Is it that sometimes politicians ensure that security agents don't go to places where they have plans to rig? I suspect that this is the problem because even sometimes these security people connive with politicians to undermine the process. So I'm not overly excited about a huge number of people, security men sent to Ekiti. We just hope and pray that the whole exercise will go on fine and people won't lose their lives unnecessarily.
Absolutely.